Welcome to Jonathan Sports Channel, and we're going to go straight in with League One 17, Week 17 predictions, and we're going to start with Peterborough versus Stockport County. Now, Peterborough are in 23rd, Stockport County are in 1st. It's going to be one-way traffic, isn't it? Well, Peterborough have got a tune out of these players. If you ask the fans, they're saying the players they didn't expect to be able to play football at this level. He's got a tune, and a really good tune, coming out of this Peterborough squad. Win, lose, win, win, win. The last three: Cardiff 1-0 win, Wimbledon 5-0 win, and a Crawley Town Virtue Trophy 2-1 win. Wimbledon will go to first because overall this game actually was quite even. As if you look at it from a passing percentage, if you look at it for a possession percentage, Wimbledon just slightly edging it with the possession, but they tended to have it finish off with not quite so great shots. They were plentiful, but they just weren't very clinical. Whereas Peterborough made the most of their passing. Look, they did some good passing. A slightly less consistent passing than Wimbledon. But when it got into the final third, their shots were more often than not coming out with clear-cut chances. They were making their chances count. They were making the chances open up in front of them. They pulled apart that defence, which I've always said Wimbledon's defence has been really good. Here, no, they were pulled apart by this Peterborough side. They did really well when they had the ball, especially in that final third. So, Stockport County, win, 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 lose, draw. Draw last time out was Wigan 1-1 in the Virtue Trophy. We'll not count that. It was a Stockport 0, Luton Town 1, Luton Town 3 last time out. And Stockport County, 81st minute red card for Owen Dodgson. Didn't really make much difference to me. I think this Luton side was rather poor, but I think this Stockport County side really, for me, was sort of on top most of the time. Luton Town were just a little bit more clinical with the shots they had. I think if we did look at the stats here, we'd have to look at the on-target stats. Luton Town 6 on target out of their 8 total. They were very clinical up front, weren't they, with their shots? 6 on target, 3 in the net. 10-man Stockport County, 3 shots on target out of their 12. Luton Town were just more clinical up front. We have to look at those passing percentages. The passing percentages for these were pretty much bang average for that particular weekend. In fact, they were quite similar Stockport County-wise to Peterborough. So these are two sides that have been playing in the last 2 or 3 games some very good football, very tidy passing, not brilliant, but very tidy. They're keeping the ball pretty well, and they're not panicking at the back. I think that overall, though, the Luton Town defeat for Stockport County and the Wigan 1-1 draw in the Virtue Trophy at home will be slightly discouraging for the Stockport County side. Just at the point when the Peterborough fans are doing well. What are you all saying? Peterborough, Stockport, 0-2, 2-2, 1-2, 2-0 and 1-1. I'm actually going to go with someone I was hoping when I was looking through your scores that one of you would say this, and I'm actually absolutely going to go with Peterborough 2, Stockport 0. Next game, shall we? We will go to Exeter Burton just for a second. Of course, that is postponed. The Exeter stand, they're suffering a fire midweek. I do hope that the fans can rally round the club and get it back into a serviceable site. I've not seen it since the fire. I've only seen the shots of the fire. I do hope you can get back in there soon. It always helps to be back on home soil as we go to Port Vale versus Plymouth Argyle. Now, we know Port Vale have been doing some good football in sections of their games. And they've been starting to increase that section from just 35, 40 minutes to 45, 55, 65 minutes. Port Vale in 22nd, Plymouth in 24th. We would never on earth have thought about this, would we? Never at all. So we look at the form here. Port Vale, lose, win, lose, draw. The only win there against the lowest side in the FA Cup, Malden and Tiptree, 5-1. Last time out, though, it was actually impressive. I was actually impressed by the Port Vale draw. 0-0 at home to Wycombe Wanderers. Now, Wycombe have been free firing. They really have been free firing, and they were free firing here. But I tell you what, this Port Vale side managed to keep their defence so tight. Wycombe could only shoot from angles where they just weren't going to get a clear shot. In fact, 18 shots to Wycombe. We can actually go with the stats here. 18 shots to Wycombe, 66% possession as well, and 3 of those 18 on target. This was a Wycombe side that just couldn't get through that back end to get a clear shot. Just couldn't. I mean, they had clear-cut chances. They had several clear-cut chances. And even then, they just couldn't get a shot off on most of those. So when they had clear-cut chances, they didn't even manage to get one on target of those clear-cut opportunities. Port Vale just frustrating them into like shooting as quickly as they could or heading as quickly as they could, even though they should have waited. It was a clear-cut opportunity. Port Vale, though, 2 shots out of their 15, and both of these sides only 5 shots in the entire game on target. But it was end-to-end, and it was enjoyable, and Wycombe had the ball, passing it around all over the pitch. We can't say they were passing it around in their own half. They weren't. They were passing it around everywhere. They were passing it around really slickly. One of the best passing performances, well, probably one of the top third passing performances of the game week there. But Port Vale knew what to do with it. They had a game plan. They stuck to it. Port Vale did really well here. Look, their passing wasn't great, but their game plan and their defence has to be said to be really good on that occasion. They're playing a Plymouth side. Lose. Oh dear. Bristol Rovers last time out in the trophy, 1-0 defeat. Let's go to Huddersfield. Huddersfield 3, Plymouth 1. They got a late consolation goal there. Plymouth through the Tolaj 3-1. So Tolaj goal on 88 minutes. Plymouth here, 9 shots, 2 on target. That says everything. But what also it says is their defence was awful. 21 shots for Huddersfield, who aren't always great on converting shots to shots on target. 21 shots, 10 on target, 3 in the net. They would have been thinking on a different day they could have won this one 4 or 5-0. And perhaps it should have been, bar for the fact that Plymouth's passing back in their own half, maybe, but their passing back in their own half was pretty good and pretty slick. However, I think Huddersfield were just saying, you stay over there, we'll let you keep the ball. And it worked. So here, Plymouth not firing, just not getting through that fine line. And not only that, but their back line was really, really rocky here, allowing the opposition in to shoot so many times. I mean, 50% of them on target, just over 50% on target, that they, it's just ridiculous. So that's Port Vale versus Plymouth. Plymouth, obviously, a little bit worried about that defence. Worried about the attack as well, though. Port Vale, though, they do have They did prove to have a good defence there, and I'm just worried that for Plymouth that Port Vale's defence is good, whereas they seem to be poor on both at the minute. Whether they get enough players back, I don't know. But at the minute, what are you thinking? Vale versus Plymouth, 2-0, 1-1, 2-0 and 1-0. And actually, I mean, I've had a look at that. I'm actually going to change my prediction because I'm going to go with Port Vale 1, Plymouth 0. I was going to go for a draw. Changed it at the last minute. I'm going to regret that, aren't I? Wimbledon versus Wigan next. And, of course, Wimbledon are in 7th. Starting to show a few signs of weakness now, aren't they? A little bit of depth of squad issues, perhaps. Wigan in 17th. And Wigan, they were climbing just a little bit, and I thought they might just keep it up. But then they've just started to drop off recently. It was AFC Wimbledon, draw, win, lose, win. Last time out was a 2-1 win. Can't count that. It's Bromley in the Virtue Trophy. Last time out, though, was that defeat. Peterborough 5, Wimbledon 0. And like I said, all we have to say here for the Wimbledon side is they were pretty good. Their heads just dropped, and they just that defence was allowing too many clear shots for Peterborough, which was really, really strange because they've been really good all season in that defensive line. I've been saying so, and I still stick by the fact that I think that Wimbledon side can do so well in defence. Was it a blip? Let's see what you all think. Wigan, lose, win, draw. You can see this last 4 draws. 2 of them in the league. Exeter 1-1 and Mansfield 1-1. We go to the Exeter 1, Wigan 1, and Wigan here were pretty good. Wigan will have been the ones coming away thinking, we could have nicked it. Look, there's good and bad for both sides here. Exeter played some spankingly hot passing, and it was crisp, and it was clear, and it wasn't just in their own half. It was getting into the opposition's half, and they had several shots at target, and a few of them were on target. 15 at target, 4 on target. Not a bad performance by this Exeter side. I would have liked to have seen, with 72% possession and all that passing, a huge number of passes here, probably one of the top 2 or 3 in the of that game week. I would have liked to have seen them use that passing to slickly get have a shot nearly every time they got into the final third. Didn't happen, but this shows that Exeter can do some remarkable football with a little bit more of a tweak. Anyway, Wigan, though, which is what we're talking about, passing nowhere near as good. 13 shots, 7 on target, though. So when they got into that final third, Wigan were the more clinical, more precise. I actually think the Exeter goalkeeper's doing a really good job. They should have really scored at least 2 from those 7. Really should. How on earth they didn't win this one 2-1, I don't know. But Exeter did a good job overall. Wigan, though, what we're talking about here, they would have been bitterly disappointed that they only got 1 from those 7 shots. And actually, there was most of the, if not all of the clear-cut chances went to Wigan. So 4 or 5 clear-cut chances, bang, all to Wigan. And you're thinking, how did they not put more than 1 in their net? So we've got Wimbledon versus Wigan here. What are you thinking? Wimbledon, Wigan, 2-0, 1-1, 1-1, 0-1, 2-0. This could go either way. However, I think that this little bit of a spell of draws, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, will it be 1-1 again? I don't want to put 1-1 again. I don't think it will be, because this Wimbledon side, it's just shown a couple of weaknesses of late. The Burton defeat included their 1-0 at home. And I just think that it's going to be, I'm going to agree with one of you, 2-0, 1-1, 1-1, 0-1, 2-0. I'm going to go with Wimbledon 0, Wigan 1. I think the woes for Wimbledon will just go on a little bit longer. Let's see if they get out of this one. We go next to Barnsley versus Luton Town. Barnsley in 13th, Luton Town in 8th. And Barnsley have, of late, started to just improve a little bit for me. Look, they played pretty meh against Rotherham. Rotherham played pretty meh, and Barnsley won it. I think it was the better of the worst teams. No, it's Rotherham that won it, wasn't it? Yeah, Rotherham. It was Barnsley 0, Rotherham 1. I'm thinking of my team, of course. I've seen the L and thinking Rotherham lose, right? So they lost against Rotherham. Both teams were pretty rubbish actually on that occasion, and I think it was the better of the two worst teams there. FA Cup, York City win 3-2. Doncaster, which we'll go to the last but one game, Lincoln City being the Virtue Trophy game. Doncaster 1, Barnsley 2. This was a game of the first half, really. I think the first half was really a good ding-dong battle between Doncaster and Barnsley. And at first I thought Doncaster were going to win it. Doncaster came out the blocks well, started well. And for me, Doncaster in the first half were just edging it. And then Barnsley came back and started to pull back. Obviously, Doncaster equalised just about 5 minutes after Barnsley scored the opener. But then Barnsley started to play some decent football. They were very clinical in front of goal. They only had 4 shots on target. 2 of them went in the net. 5 on target for Doncaster, 1 in the net. And at the end of the day, that's all we can say about this game. Doncaster were well in front, I think, in that first half. Barnsley came back in the second and won it 2-1. Passing pretty okay. I don't think either of them will be proud and sort of overly joyful about their game there. But on the whole, Barnsley will be happy with the win. Away at Doncaster. Luton Town. We have to talk about Luton Town, fourthly to being a Rotherham fan. Lose, win, and draw. Now, the draw last time out, which we will go to, it's Rotherham. It's a Rotherham game. Luton Town 0, Rotherham 0. Luton Town were bang below average. They were bang average for a sort of middle League One side. They really were. They were meh. Rotherham were actually, although they were pegged backed most of this game, they were actually controlling it when they had it quite well. They never really looked to be in danger of losing this one. The only thing that they looked like is they could actually just sneak a winner. Luton Town, it says here 3 on target. I just can't see where those 3 came from. Indeed, if you listen to Talk Sport, which I was listening to during the game, I think they said they had 1 shot haphazard somewhere in the game, and they couldn't quite remember where that was. So Luton Town, very, very bang average here. Yeah, they reduced Rotherham to 2 shots, 1 on target. I think actually we had about 3 shots, to be honest. And we could have won it in the last dying minutes, but we just couldn't get it on target. So they are beatable. They're not playing very well. And that's really strange because, look at that, for Luton Town, lose, win, draw. You'd be thinking they're playing really great football, but actually they've been playing pretty poor football from my perspective and just getting the run of the green. Will they get a run of the green here against Barnsley? Barnsley versus Luton Town. And I'm actually not going with any of you in this one. Barnsley Luton 0-1, 1-2, 1-2, 0-1 and 0-0. I'm actually going to go with my joker. I'm going Barnsley 1, Luton 0. I think that if they play like they did against Rotherham, this Barnsley side will pick you apart. As we go to the next one, which is Bolton versus Bradford. Bradford. Bolton have been playing really good, especially at home. Love them at home. They're really good to watch. Bolton in 4th, Bradford in third. Bradford have been going up and down of late, and of late they've been playing some bang average football, which is not what they were doing right at the beginning. There was some pretty slick football at the beginning. They've done some really good recruitment. Bolton though, lose, win. Last time out, Virtue Trophy, Oldham 6-2 win away from home. And Oldham can actually play some decent football on and off. So that was a good win. 10 goals in 2 games for Bolton. 4-0 win at home to Port Vale. And like I said, Port Vale have been playing some good football in part. This team, Bolton, managed to pick them apart in the first half and get add a fourth to make it 4-0 in mid-second half. But Bolton here came out of the traps knowing what they wanted to do. Great defence, superb. I mean, the class in the final third was, I'd say, the best of that game week. Nearly every shot, 90-95% of their shots, when they came off the boot, were on target. 10 shots on target, 4 in the net. They may have even hoped that they got more than that with the quality and the class of the shot. They were on fire here. And I felt sorry for Port Vale because they actually have been playing some good football. They're playing a Bradford side, of course, right next to them in the league. Draw, lose. Last time out, Virtue Trophy, 3-1 defeat, but it was against Doncaster Rovers, and they're not playing very well. So I just a bit worried about that. The last game, though, was against Burton. Now, I said Burton would have a chance of winning this one. It was Bradford 1, Burton 2. I got it right. Burton, really, for me, I knew that they'd put up a really good game because they have been over the last few matches. Bradford did well in the second half. I think they really did. They played a lot better in the second half for me, Bradford. Burton came out very, very well. Okay, they had a bit of a hiccup at first and they just didn't seem to be able to get into the throes of this game, but they did actually manage quite quickly to get a brace. Bang, 41 minutes, bang, 45 plus 1. And all of a sudden Burton are 2-0 up. And realistically, that was, I think, the little bit of a false sense of security that Bradford needed. And Bradford came back in that second half and started to push more up front. But their shooting, Burton managed to again keep Bradford from getting a really clear shot on target. Only 3 shots on target for Bradford in the entire game. And for Burton, 6. So it was a decent score, 2-1 to Burton. And once again, they're showing a good, steady improvement. So when I look at this one, Bolton versus Bradford, I see a Bradford side that's not really ticking at all of late. Bolton are on fire again. They really have. Can they make it 6 wins in a row? Bolton, Bradford, what are you saying? 1-1, 2-1, 1-1, 2-0 and 3-1. I'm actually going to go with Bolton 2, Bradford 0. Could even be 3-0, I think. But I think 2 or 3-0 to Bolton is a pretty good prediction there. Orient versus Blackpool next. And Orient are in 16th. Blackpool have pulled up to 21st now. And they must be worried because Peterborough are doing really, really well just below them. Port Vale can and have played really good football in parts of their games. If they put a full 90 minutes together like that, they're going to be coming up as well. And you can never count out Plymouth Argyle, can you? So what of the last few games then for Leyton Orient? Lose, win, lose, win. So Leyton Orient have just started to put a few results together here. However, we have to look at who they played. They lost away at Rotherham. And actually, it was one of those games where Rotherham were actually starting to get players back. And we just started to play decent enough football. But if you ask a Rotherham fan, we'd say we weren't very good, were we? Leyton Orient were just a lot worse than us. The last two games, though, last game was Exeter 2-1 win at home. Before that, it was a 4-1 defeat to Wycombe Wanderers. So it does show you this side can let goals in. But the scores before, lose, win, were 1-0 defeat, 1-0 win, 1-0 win, 1-0 win. You know, there's a bit of a hint here. I don't see them scoring a huge number of goals, Leyton Orient. However, you know, I think that in this game, it may change. In this game, we had Orient Exeter, Orient 2, Exeter 1. This is Orient's last game in League One. They really ran riot, Orient. They should have realistically had more shots on target. They weren't very clinical in front of goal, but they kept the ball extremely well. My only worry was that most of it was in their own half. They did get out of their own half, and they did have double figures of shots, but you know, probably less than a quarter of them were on target, and just 3 on target. And you're thinking, yeah, okay, 3 on target, 2 in the net. That was really clinical, isn't it? But the number of shots that were either off target or blocked just shows that this was it was almost a panic shot team that played Exeter here. But they won 2-1. Exeter really reduced to just 2 shots at on target in the entire game. The Orient's defence was really good, which is part and parcel of these 1-0s that we were looking at just now. Blackpool then, draw, win, lose. Last time out was 1-0 defeat away at Burton. Now Burton, again, these are the games that I've been saying Burton have really got to win. Burton have been doing really well. Burton won, Blackpool 0, and Blackpool, we would have expected here Blackpool to put up a good fight. This is one of those games that Blackpool would have also been wanting to win. It was Burton 1, Blackpool 0, and realistically, it was pretty dull. The passing was pretty poor from both sides. Blackpool perhaps just edging it a little bit. Blackpool did have a couple of clear-cut chances, absolutely, and they should have made more of them. But you know, they just seem to fluff it at the last minute, and a clear-cut chance disappears into thin air. I mean, there were only 4 shots on target by adding up both teams in this game. It's one not to be repeated, and it's one not to be remembered. What can we say? Both seem to be defending the life out of this one, trying not to lose. Unfortunately, Blackpool did. If you look at the results, there's very little to have between these two. But Orient have been doing some better football. But I just think that this is going to be in fact, I'm going to change my score again. So this is going to be an interesting game. I think Blackpool, if they can get back to their winning ways, I mean, 3 wins in a row were against Peterborough, Scunthorpe and Cardiff. You know, some good sides in there. Peterborough, obviously, getting better straight after that game. And we have to think what you're going to say. What do you say? Orient Blackpool, 3-1, 1-1, 3-1, 2-1, 2-0. I'm actually going to go with... Very, very difficult, isn't it? I keep changing my mind on this one. I'm going to go back to my original score. Orient 2, Blackpool 1. Forget it, that's how I'm going on after that one. We go to the next one. That's the most difficult one. Do like and subscribe. Tell me what you think down below. As we go on from Orient Blackpool to Mansfield versus Huddersfield. Now, Mansfield versus Huddersfield, a little bit of a derby here. Not too far away from each other. Mansfield have been certainly improving. They played some pretty boring football in the middle third of what they've played so far. But Mansfield win, draw, win, win, lose, lose. They lost against Huddersfield in the Virtue Trophy after winning their previous two, Plymouth and Harrogate. And you have to think that this Mansfield side's pretty up and down. It really is. Last time out, a 2-1 defeat away at Northampton Town. Northampton 2, Mansfield 1. And I know I've got my Mansfield supporters out there, but you know, this really was an even game. This really was an even game. Very few shots on target, loads of shots at target. The game wasn't short of shots. It was just shots of quality. It was short of quality. Passing was okay. Passing was fine, but it didn't seem from either side that they could get a decent enough position to get a good, clear-cut chance at goal. Yeah, there were two, three, four clear-cut chances spread in this game, but neither of them wanted to take it. Neither of them really had the finishing prowess to get it in the net. The only thing I can say about this game is Northampton had 4 shots on target, 2 in the net. Mansfield had 2 shots on target, 1 in the net. And that's all I can say about it. It was a dull game. This is one of those games that we've seen Mansfield have in the past. Dull game for 1 or 2 matches, and then all of a sudden they change. Let's see if they change here. It's against Huddersfield. Lose, 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 win, win. The first one of those 2 wins was against Mansfield in the Virtue Trophy, 3-1. And then they've also won their last game 3-1 against Plymouth. So Huddersfield here are actually, that's 2 games, 6 goals, both 3-1 winners. And we're always, I think the fans were always telling us on the internet, we're a little bit worried about the shots here. We're a little bit worried. They had no problem here. They had almost 24 shots and half of them on target. I mean, 3-1 for God's sake. It could have been 4-5-6, 6-1 here. In fact, probably 4-5-6-0. Plymouth, their defence was brilliant. Their defence removed most of those shots, blocking most of them, reducing Plymouth to just 2 shots on target, and one of them went in the net. So it's just insane, isn't it? This Huddersfield side has just turned, hasn't it? Has it turned at the wrong time for this Mansfield side, who, you know, on and off, they're just suffering a little bit of a downer at the minute for me. Let's see where they are in the league again. We've got Mansfield 9th, Huddersfield 10th. The important thing here is Huddersfield's only done 1 draw. Mansfield have had 4. The thing is, I'm going with your predictions as well here. So, and you've really scuppered it. So, I think Huddersfield might win this one. But Mansfield, Huddersfield, what are you saying? 1-1, 3-1, 2-2, 2-1, 2-1. I'm going to have to go with you. I'm going to go with you, which means I can't see it being a draw because of Huddersfield. I'm going to have to go Mansfield 2, Huddersfield 1. It could be either way, really could. I would have probably put it the other way, but I do take your thoughts into consideration so that I don't get slaughtered by nasty comments. So we're going to go with Mansfield win. Northampton versus Cardiff next. Northampton, we just looked at Northampton's, of course. So Northampton, Cardiff, when it opens up for me. We look at the table. Cardiff doing really well. Dropped off a bit of late, and I think I can see that in some of people's comments on the internet. 5th place now for Cardiff. Northampton in 15th, and they really have started to come up that table, haven't they? I think that it's going to be an interesting game. I really do. Northampton, win, lose, 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 win, win. And you've got to look at the last 2 wins. Mansfield 2-1 in League 1. win and a Shrewsbury Town home win 2-1 in the Virtue Trophy. Now, Shrewsbury have been playing some good football from what I've seen, so that's actually a pretty decent win. But let's look at that Mansfield game just quickly again, because that's their last league game win for Northampton. Northampton 2, Mansfield 1. Just like we said, not going to repeat it. I think that Northampton, it was a pretty even game. Northampton will have been feeling they were pretty lucky getting the win here. Although they were slightly on top with shots on target. There were only half a dozen in the entire game, but they were behind on passing. Mansfield's passing was far better, so it was a bit swings and roundabouts. Northampton may think themselves lucky. Cardiff, though, win, lose, win, lose, lose, win. Last time out, 3-1 winners against Arsenal under-21s in the Virtue Trophy. Can't count that. Cardiff away defeat 3-1 to Blackpool was the last league game. Blackpool 3, Cardiff 1. And Cardiff, well, in fact, it was 2-0 until the 80th minute, and then Blackpool scored, closely followed by Cardiff in 90 plus 8 minutes. This Cardiff side, because obviously that's the team we're looking at here, absolutely ran riot in this game. But I tell you what, their defence was equally as poor as their attack was good. Let's just give you the stat. The stats do actually sing quite a good picture here. 66% possession for Cardiff, 28 shots, 11 of them on target, 1 in the net. Three or four clear-cut chances. Clear-cut chances. Excellent passing straight into the final third. This side was playing some brilliant football. So why did they lose to Blackpool? Well, Blackpool had 34% possession, but they did so much more with it. 19 shots out of just 34% possession. Their passing wasn't as good. It really wasn't. But when they got in that final third, 19 shots out of that is brilliant. 9 of them on target, 3 in the net. They were just more clinical when they got the shots off. Really, this could have been 3-2, 4-3. And I wouldn't have been surprised if it was a Cardiff 4-3 win. There's lots of goals in both of these teams, basically, in both directions. So that's the Northampton Cardiff game we're looking at, isn't it? So Blackpool was the game we just looked at. And I just sort of think that Cardiff side, with the ability to shoot so well, is going to have a lot of shots against this Northampton side for sure. However, they're really that defence, if it carries on like that, is going to let this Northampton side in. And this Northampton side, if by looking at that Northampton Mansfield game, you can tell this Northampton side doesn't need many shots to get 1 or 2 in the net. 4 shots on target, remember, for Northampton, 2 in the net. You only need to give them a couple of shots, and they're in there. What are you thinking? 1-0. It's Northampton Cardiff. 1-0, 1-1, 0-1, 0-2, and 1-2. It's those shots by Cardiff that's going to be the biggie here. Will Northampton be able to pull this one off? Will Northampton be able to... I'm going to go there. I'm going to go Northampton 1, Cardiff 1. I can't separate them. What do you think? Like, subscribe, tell me down below. As we go to my site, away at Reading. Reading versus Rotherham United. We'll look at the table. Rotherham in 11th, Reading in 18th. Rotherham's somehow resurgence here. We really have seen some really, really good football. We'll come to the last game in a minute. Reading, though, draw, lose, win, draw, lose, win, up and down. And it has been up and down all season for me. Last time out, Reading won, Stevenage 0. Charlie Savage 4 minutes. And then it just seemed to be your standard League One game. End-to-end stuff, not many, not good enough conversions for me by either team. Reading were probably converting shots into shots on target slightly more than what Stevenage were. But after that goal, I just didn't see either of these teams really trying to grab the game by the neck and really win it. But Reading managed to stay in this one all the way through, come out with a win. Was it the right result? A draw would have been probably about right in this one. Reading would have felt quite happy about this, and Stevenage probably aggrieved that they didn't get at least a draw. Rotherham United win, lose, draw, win, lose. Draw, win, draw. Luton Town last time out, and Rotherham didn't have much of the ball at all, really. They were suffering from just trying to make sure that Luton Town didn't get any clear shots, and they made a really, really good job of it. Rotherham never looked like losing this one. If anything, that last minute shot could have made them a winner. If anybody was going to win this one, I'd say it was going to be Rotherham. In the first half, the commentators, because I was listening to the commentary, were actually saying, look, Luton Town have had all the ball, but the only 2 shots have come from Rotherham. So and we could have scored from either or both of them and didn't score from any of them. So the commentators were saying, and obviously they're not biased, so that's a lot better position for me to come from, isn't it? We're saying that Rotherham really should have got the head in this in the first half. In the second half, they should have won it in the last few minutes. Luton Town, very meh, very average, very poor. Rotherham doing really, really well. They've managed to play a game where if we're not going to win it, we ain't going to lose it. And that's the important thing for me, really was. So what are you thinking? Because I can see this Reading side can let goals in, it can score them. However, this Rotherham side can score 1 or 2, tends not to score more than that. What are you thinking? Reading, Rotherham, 2-1, 1-2, 1-2, 1-0, 0-1. I'm actually, you're all over the place, aren't you? It's going to be one or the other, isn't it? Just like you lot are saying. I'm going to actually go Reading 1, Rotherham 2. I'm actually going to go with you, and I'm going to go to Stevenage versus Doncaster next. Now, Doncaster, obviously, a little bit haphazard of late. They were doing so well. Stevenage in 6th, Doncaster now in 19th. Bit of a free fall here. Stevenage win, lose, win, draw. Win, lose, win, draw, lose. Yeah, tongue twister, isn't it? Reading last time out. Reading 1, Stevenage 0. Charlie Savage, like I said, minute 4, bang, and that's it. That's all we can say about this game. 4 or 5 minutes, really good play by Reading, and then this game was just a draw all over it. Just 6 shots on target in the entire game, and what can I say? Bang, sort of lower mid-average for both of these sides. That's all I can say. Stevenage there, just not quite, for me, making it. And they're in 6th position. That wasn't a 6th position game. But the league is so damned even, isn't it? Doncaster Rovers then. Lose, draw, win, lose, win, lose. They're the same. I guess a tongue twister in both of these. Both of these sides can play some good football. Both of these sides can play some awful one. Recently, though, Doncaster have been the poorer of these two sides. The last league game, 2-1 defeat away at Lincoln City. 31 minutes goal for Lincoln City. Gott's own goal for Lincoln City on 71. Just a minute after Doncaster equalised on 70 minutes. That must have been really disheartening. Overall, Doncaster actually did play. Look, this was a game of passing. This was a game where both sides played some really good, top quality passing, which I've not seen from Doncaster for quite a while. But in this game, they played some really top quality passing. Unfortunately, Lincoln did as well. So both sides did deserve a really good pat on the back, really good passing. Both sides had some really good gameplay, some good possession football, equaling each other out in many senses of the word. Doncaster had so many clear-cut chances, though. They made so many. They got through this Lincoln defence so damn well. And then they just fluffed all these clear-cut chances. There must be 7 or 8 or 9 clear-cut chances for Doncaster. And they only scored 1. This side should have been coming away from Lincoln City with a 3 or 4-0 win. But they came away with a 2-1 defeat. Doncaster will and probably are absolutely gutted with that defeat. Knowing where they have been in the league, knowing how well they have played, but knowing how poorly they are at the minute. And that's the problem here. We've got two sides that just aren't clicking it. Stevenage would have been the more aggrieved at their defeat, I think, than Doncaster. So what we're going to say, Stevenage, Doncaster, 2-0, 2-0, 1-0, 1-1, 2-0. You won't be surprised that I'm going to agree with all of you lot. Stevenage 2, Doncaster 0. As we go through to the last game, which is Wycombe versus Lincoln City. Wycombe Wanderers are, of course, in 14th. Bit of a kick up the arse with the manager, and now we're going into a sort of new season halfway through, aren't we? And they're doing really well. They're starting to pick up a little bit more now. Lincoln City, they started well. They then died off just a little bit for me, and then they pulled back, didn't they? So Wycombe Wanderers versus Lincoln. Wycombe, win, draw, win, draw. No defeats in the last 6, and the last game was a 0-0 Port Vale draw. Now, actually, this game was quite even. In fact, both of these sides really defended extremely well, but both of them did. Wycombe had a few clear-cut chances that they didn't put away, obviously scoring none. Of the two teams, there's only one that had clear-cut chances in this game, and that's Wycombe. Port Vale did have one, I think, but they were really their prowess in this game. Port Vale was the defence. Wycombe Wanderers, though, their defence was also good, reducing Port Vale to just 2 shots on target, and blocking about 6 or 7 of them. And so don't put anything against Wycombe. Wycombe had a good defence. That attacking formation, though, that both of these sides could shoot, and both of them were shooting, just not on target enough for me. Wycombe have been playing some good football with some good clinical finishing, but in here it wasn't happening. So that's that game. Lincoln City lose, draw, lose, win. It was a very poor side that lost at Rotherham, I must admit, 3-0 to Rotherham. Then it was Barnsley win 2-0 in the Virtue Trophy away, and it was Doncaster, Lincoln City 2, Doncaster 1 last league game. And we've already said this one with the Doncaster game in the last game we looked at, but Lincoln City here didn't really get going. They had some great football, absolutely, just like Doncaster did. Some great passing, some great possession. The only difference here was Lincoln City just didn't quite seem to get good. But it's more the quantity of shots. I thought the quality was okay, but the quantity just wasn't enough to be able to convert enough of them. And having said that, you're all shouting at me. 3 shots on target for Lincoln, 2 in the net, and they won 2-1. I think if they'd have, but there was only 7 shots in the entire game for Lincoln, and they were passing so well, and their possession play was so good. When they had it and Doncaster didn't, they were both in the same boat. I agree, but one of them could have played so much better and won this game. In Lincoln's case, by a lot more. So I think Lincoln would have been quite aggrieved. They didn't just win it 2-1. They won it 4-3 or even 4-1, 4-2. It could have been that sort of game had they took the game and really made sure they won it. So what are you saying? Wycombe versus Lincoln City. 1-2, 2-2, 2-3, 1-1 and 1-1. I can see both cases here. I think Lincoln have turned a corner and got things back on target again, back on track. But I think Wycombe have as well. I'm going Wycombe 1, Lincoln 1. Thank you for watching. Do like and subscribe to Johnny's Sports Channel.